You're like sweating right now.
I'm scared.
I'm doing such a good job of keeping you in
intense.
suspense here. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I need to know.
So, my movie total as of Friday, November 10th is 101.
Okay.
So what's your number?
Okay. As of Friday, November 10th, 4:20 p.m., my number is 102.
Hello and welcome back to the Nerdiest podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. I know we've been gone for a couple weeks, and I want to take a second to apologize because that was not part of the plan. But what ended up happening was, as we looked at the schedule, we were just both really busy. So we actually haven't recorded an episode in a month because the last episode we recorded a week ahead because we were both going to be gone. And then when we came back, let the week go by, got to the next week to record. I'm like, oh, I'm really busy this week. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
This isn't shaping up very well.
That happens to the best of us.
It was okay. We both agreed we'd rather have a break and have really good content instead of having like really poor last minute put together episodes just for the sake of meeting the schedule.
Agreed.
So, but we had been weekly for a while. So it gave you guys a great opportunity
Give you time to catch up. Gave you a minute for you to miss us.
Yeah. And now we're back.
Now we're back, baby.
So I do want to say, while we were gone, we did get a 1 subscriber on Spotify to listen to the Nerdiest Aftershow, which if you want to join that person, you can go to the link in the description and you can now listen to the Nerdiest Aftershow on Spotify. But if you, 1 subscriber, are listening, please reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube comments, respond in the Q&A section of this episode, because Spotify doesn't tell us who you are. So we don't know who to thank, and we'd like to be able to thank you individually and personally, and not just thank you, 1 subscriber.
Yeah.
So feel free to do that because we want to thank you for subscribing. But today, as the title suggests, we are going to be answering the question of whether or not Fortnite is overhated. Not overrated.
Age-old debate.
Overhated. But before we jump into that main topic, we got a couple news things to go over.
Whoa.
But even before that, Jackson, it's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot second.
How have you been?
I'm happy to be here. I'll be honest, the break was hard, but much needed. This week has been one of those weeks. No one told me life was going to be this way. And so I just have had a lot of stuff, a lot of work, lots of projects going on, which is exciting, which I'm happy to announce. I have a new EP coming out Friday, November 17th. So if you're not following Jackson Glass, Glas, on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure you follow there to see Freshman Year Part 2, Friday 17th. With that plug out of the way, that's really what we've been working on. Is that we played a really big concert last week, which is really, really fun. And other than that, I've just been working, and it's been really hard because I want to go do fun stuff. And yesterday it was really hard because I ended up just working all day and doing work, and I didn't even get to do anything fun. And so today is a great day because I get to have fun doing this podcast, and I get to go decorate for Christmas after we record this, and I'm so excited. Happy November, everyone. It's Christmas season, and if you are mad that we're decorating before Thanksgiving, I just want you to know it costs $0 to worry about yourself. So keep that in mind.
Did you steal that from my mom's Instagram?
Yeah, your
story?
mom posts the most based things on Instagram all the time, and I love it so much. It's so entertaining. She's great. But yeah, that was good. So I mentioned we played a big concert last week. Me and my friend Gavin, friend of the show. We played a big show, and Nick actually came into town and went and saw us live. And so Nick was here last weekend, and we had a super fun time. And we had planned a couple like videos and a podcast and a movie review and all this stuff. And again, we looked at the schedule and said,
we didn't do any of it.
We were like, when was the last time that one of us came over and we just hung out and like didn't make content? And so we kind of called an audible and rearranged some stuff, and we're just like, you know what? We can go on break for a week. And so we went on break. He came over. We played Mario Wonder. We ate Mexican food. We went and saw the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which we'll get into here in a second, do a quick little review. So it was a super fun weekend. We hung out, went to the store. Other than that, I'm just kind of hanging out, doing work. Thanksgiving break can't come sooner. But there's also a lot of really exciting behind the scenes stuff going on at the Nerdiest podcast right now that we cannot talk about yet. But very, very exciting things going into 2024 that you will know very soon, but not now. So without further ado, Mr. Nick Barrett, how was your week? I can't wait to hear about it. I actually haven't talked to you in a long time. How was your week?
It's been okay. It's been a week. It's been a very tiring week.
It's been one of the most moments in time.
Yeah. It's just been a tiring week because I ended up I'm a little behind on editing technically because we have shorts that go out every week. And when we said we were going on break, the way the YouTube schedule was configured was allowing for there to be weekly episodes from where we were at to the end of the year, with the exception of last week because I was going to be there and we weren't going to be able to make an episode and have a good turnaround time. So in that, I had to kind of scramble to put some videos together, and one of them came out, the 5 anime movies you need to watch or something. I don't remember what I titled it.
Good video.
It was a really good video. Actually performed a little better than I thought it was going to, so that's good. But I also recorded another video that I haven't edited yet that may be out by the end of the year. It's really funny that there's like 3 videos that I've recorded in the last year that 2 of them, when they got to the editing space, I was like, no, these are bad videos. Like, the concept is really good, but these are bad videos and I don't want to make them.
Well,
and then this third one just hasn't gotten there yet.
It takes a level of maturity to know when you've made something bad and making the decision to not put it out. You know, so I commend that, even though it's hard. I commend the ability to say this isn't it, guys. So keep that in mind. Yeah,
and then I also have to do some shorts because we're in the our YouTube shorts are actually kind of popping off. Of course, there's a bunch of silly, goofy people in the comments. I try not to read YouTube shorts comments because they're really like, how do I put this?
They're really aggressive.
In the nicest way possible. They're very aggressive, but they're also some of the dumbest comments I've ever read.
Yeah, just
of people
really bad opinions.
Someone commented on one of the Wish shorts I cut out from the Disney episode, and they were like, his girly voice is really funny. And I'm like, what? What? Why are you mad that my voice sounds like that? Like Jackson said, it costs $0 to worry about you. This is not like...
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you about that.
Oh, yeah.
And then some comments are like...
voice. Yeah.
Here's comments I want to address briefly, and then we'll move on, is I put out a short from the Ahsoka episode where I talked about like, oh, I was wrong about Ahsoka. I shouldn't have, judged it so harshly before seeing it, and it actually was kind of good, so I'm revoking what I said before. That was the gist of the short. And then I put it out. It blew up. And everyone was commenting like, "You have no credibility now. You shouldn't have talked out of turn." Blah 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 blah. Yeah. There was one really funny one that was like, the Disney paycheck just cleared, so he's revoking. I was like, listen. I would never sell out to Disney.
I can't even.
But $100 is $100. Like,
that's funny.
I don't know. And some of them were just like you'd fit in great at IGN, and then there were a couple comments defending me, like, well, no. It takes a lot on the internet to say that you're wrong and to apologize and revoke what you said before.
Right.
So it's one of those things of like those types of comments are exactly why no one on the internet ever changes their opinion, is because people will come out and say, well, now you're not a credible source. Well, you should have never revoked your thing. Like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's just this culture that we've fostered that is not great.
No.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it's okay to, change your opinion. There's also a fair amount to say. YouTube Shorts, and I'm very guilty of this, of cutting things out, one, to make it shorter, like as short as possible and still get the point across. But then sometimes there are like some clarifying statements that end up getting cut that I don't realize would be very helpful until you see
it's
the
out
short
of context.
finished.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, I would hope that you click through the related video and then listen to the episode to hear what I had to say about that. But you're probably not going to.
It's also just
okay.
It's hard because people are just very driven by emotion, and also the internet is a place where nothing feels real. Nothing feels like it's like actually matters. And so saying this guy has a girly voice, whatever, like to a commenter, they'll never see that short again. They'll never see the channel again, whatever. They just keep scrolling on their shorts. When like a real person reads that, like would you never say anything on the internet that you wouldn't say to someone's face? Because it's just kind of like, it feels fake when in like we have a real epidemic of people don't realize that you're interacting with real people on the internet. Not only that, you can get in real trouble because like those real people know how to clap back and like get back at you. And so it's like people are not near as hidden on the internet than they think they are. And so it's kind of like protect yourself and protect others by just kind of keeping to yourself. That's my advice.
Yeah.
So
maybe don't say stupid stuff on the internet.
Maybe just don't say stupid stuff. And that's a two-way street. Like we tried our best not to say stupid stuff, but also like,
we're also 107 episodes in. We've probably said something stupid.
I'm going to say something
in the last 10 minutes.
Right. It's like, but also like people take it so freaking seriously where it's like, you didn't like Ahsoka. You are subhuman. You actually. And it's just kind of like, okay, but also, do you have a microphone? Like, do you have a movie podcast?
Yeah, last I checked, this isn't your podcast.
Last I checked,
do you have a podcast?
You don't even have a YouTube profile picture. Your profile picture is the letter L, which is what your opinion is. Me. Anyway, just wanted that addressed. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. We're not going to go into super deep. Not going to go super deep into it. We originally had a full review scheduled on the podcast, and it just didn't work out. And I'm kind of glad because I don't have an hour's worth of material to go off of the FNAF movie.
It was a movie.
I'm going to say spoiler free.
That was not scary.
I'm going to say spoiler free. If you know the story of FNAF, you will probably have a good time. But I also, I know people that don't know anything about FNAF, and they were just so confused. And I feel like the impression I got from it was that they really, really want to franchise the movie and make like a FNAF cinematic universe, but really don't want to take the patience to build the story like the games did. And so they're really like, oh, we want to do 5 movies, we want to do 8 movies, 3 movies, whatever. But we also don't want to slowly go into it. We want to cherry pick our favorite best moments from the 8 to 10 games, however many there are now, and throw them into this one movie. And that just doesn't feel sustainable. And it also made me realize why the critics rated it so low, because the story is kind of a disaster. Like, it's a wreck. I don't know what they thought they were doing. The pacing is awful. It makes no sense. They kind of veered away from the source material. It just kind of it made me empathize, and this is maybe a tiny spoiler if you care. It made me empathize with the robots, the animatronics, like a little too much, to the point where it made me feel like what I wanted was a super freaky, weird, like, oh my gosh, we're trapped in a pizzeria with these crazy animatronics. We need to get out. When it kind of made them the good guys. And I was just like, why are we here? Like, how did this happen? And I'm not about it. I had a good time in the theater, but it was not scary. The story was a wreck. It had huge potential. It was literally written for them, and they just didn't do it. So,
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. We've talked about before how FNAF really traumatized both of us. So I was on the fence about seeing the movie in the first place. But I was also really curious because this was another one of those movies this year where Rotten Tomatoes was very like, oh, it's very terrible. And then the audience score was like, oh, it's really great. And we've seen like that dissonance between the two sets of reviews. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's actually good. And we sat down and watched it. It wasn't particularly scary. Like,
it wasn't.
There were a couple of jump scares here and there, but my biggest issue is there were a couple things that were missing. And I feel like, how do I want to say this? It didn't feel like an adaptation of the game. It felt like we're telling a story using the same characters and locations, and then also adding a couple characters that weren't in the original game, and bringing in some stuff from like the second, third, and fourth game that shouldn't be here yet, so that we can kind of put a bow on everything. Jackson's was spoiler free. Mine will not be. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for the FNAF movie, skip ahead by like 2 minutes. The whole part with William Afton even being there, as far as I remember from the lore, that was never in the first game. That briefly came up in the second game. Wasn't really a thing until the third game. And it just kind of felt weird because we had the whole Springlock failure where he gets like crushed inside the suit. That wasn't supposed to happen until the second or third game. So for it to happen this early felt really weird. It just felt like Mike didn't spend enough time sitting at the cameras, looking around, because the animatronics were never coming to kill him when he was there. They did, like, towards the end, but when he was sitting in the chair, doing whatever, they were never actively moving to kill him, which is what they do in the game.
Which is the entire point of the tension. That's the tension point, is you're trapped in a room and you can tell they're moving all around you, but you don't know when or where they're going to come from. And so that's why the movie wasn't scary at all. There was no tension because the animatronics were like super goofy and like, friendly.
You're like, yeah, let's build a fort with table and chairs.
Yeah, what the frick was that? What the heck? There's that. Let's build a little fort. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
The most violent thing those animatronics ever did was when those thugs came in.
Yeah.
And tried to like break up the place.
Right.
And it's like that they were moving during the day. That defeats the whole purpose of the game.
The purpose.
Where they're supposed to move around at night, not during the day. Because you're the night guard, not the day guard.
Yeah, and it was justified. Like the thug killing thing, whatever, that was justified. Where they're like, I felt like they were really scared to make the animatronics the villains. When that was that's the point. Like, I know
the whole first game was to survive the 5 nights at Freddy's.
Right. Like, I know like the whole story of like, the kids died and it's super tragic and really screwed up and they're innocent. Like the like air quote like ghosts or whatever in the suits, they're innocent children. Like that's why it's so screwed up. But I also felt like because of that, they were really nervous to make them the villains, which is what it should have been. And so I don't know. I was extremely disappointed, and I know they're going to make more movies and they could redeem it in theory, but I feel like unless they slow down and really decide what they want to do with it, like I felt like I don't know where they're going to go from here. You know, well, this really could have been a really solid maybe trilogy of movies where like the whole thing was really clearly mapped out of what gets revealed when, and it just wasn't that, and it's a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
And
that's all I have to say about it. It was okay. The funniest part of the movie, though, was the people in the theater who were screaming at the smallest little thing. And it was like, not that scary. Like the Balloon Boy jump scare where he opens the thing and like he's there. I mean, I went a little like, oh, that was a little spooky. But then there were these girls or something in the same row as us in the corner who were like, there's like,
It was like, girl, this is like the most not scary movie I've ever seen. There's also an army of middle school boys right in front of us that were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then one of them left and they were like, I gotta go see if Tanner's okay. And it's like, I was honestly more invested in them than the movie, but it was wildly entertaining because I'm sure that was the scariest movie they'd ever seen.
Also, missed opportunity. This movie did not utilize the, like, all the power going out and then Freddy's eyes glowing and doing the da-na-na-na-na. Like, that's such an iconic thing that did not get implemented at all.
Wasn't that in the trailer?
And you could have done it when the music was in the trailer. And it's like such this iconic thing, and you could have done it when Golden Freddy showed up and killed the ant.
Right.
And like showed up behind her. I was like, oh, it's going to play the music and the lights are going to go out. And then it didn't happen.
Nope.
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This was easy.
Positives, but real quick, I really like that it was made on a small budget. I think that actually made it better was the small budget because it was shot super practically. The animatronics looked incredible. They looked really, really good.
They're real. That's a pro and a con.
Right. Con because now I feel like they could actually come for me because they're real.
That was my one thing as a kid is like, okay, they're not real. They cannot fight me. They cannot come for me. Now they are. I'm like,
it's like awesome. I feel like Josh Hutcherson did a pretty good job. I liked him in the role. I mean, it was shot well. Other than that, I was just like,
the girl who played Vanessa was really hot.
Okay.
Anyway,
but she was. I'm sorry.
Moving on.
Bad. She was not a good actor, though. Like I'm.
Okay, was she not a good actor, or was she just directed poorly?
And her character
was
hard to
poorly
tell.
written.
It's hard to tell. I'd have to see her in something else to know. But
yeah, like this could just be well directed, but with a poorly written character.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, because I don't feel like she was a bad actor. I think it was just a poorly written character where
I can get behind that.
They changed up. Like you always knew there was something up with her from the start, where like this random cop shows up, and you're like, oh.
Right, like they were trying to make it feel like it was a twist that she wasn't, but like from the second she's on screen, you know something's off.
Right.
And so it's just kind of like there was no mystery to it at all. So anyway, maybe we'll talk about that more later. But do you want to do news or movie competition?
I want to do movie competition.
I need to know. Okay.
Because this is it. We talked about it a little bit on the after show, episode 3, if you want to go listen to it, where we talked about at the end how we're both getting very close to 100.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in like that
movies.
home stretch. Yeah. So by the time we record again, which at the time of recording that after show was going to be a week, we're like, oh, someone will have crossed it for sure. Okay, it's been 4 weeks since then.
Yeah. So it's like... So if you don't know, for this entire year, we've been racing to see who can watch 100 movies first. And I'm so like this.
Pull out my list.
I'm so scared. Okay,
I'm gonna let you go first.
No, I can't go first. I'm
not going first.
I'm not going first.
Okay, rock paper scissors.
I'm not going first. I guarantee. I'm telling you that right now. It's not happening.
What? Why are you so afraid to go first?
I need to know. Like I can't. Like I need to know.
You're like petrified of going first.
I don't want to go first.
Why not?
I don't want to. I need you to go first. I'm too scared.
I'm also stalling.
I'm too scared.
Okay. So here's where I'll start. I'll start by going over how many movies I've seen since our last time we recorded.
What's the last?
It would have been top 10 Disney movies. So since then, I rewatched the Lego Batman movie, which that was phenomenal as always. I watched The Black Cauldron on Disney Plus. That was pretty good. I watched The Sword in the Stone, which was pretty mediocre. Rewatched Princess Bride, top tier movie. Every time I watch it, it moves closer and closer to breaking my top 10 movies of all time. It's so good. And I'm actually going to add it to my list now if I can find it, because all these letters look the same. Where is favorite movie? What the heck?
I'm so scared.
Hold on. Why can I not find it? 2020.
Find it later.
Hold on. I'm too far gone.
I need to know.
Is it a private list? Okay, I can't find it. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched Chicken Little, which we talked about on the top 10 Disney episode. It's actually a top tier movie.
That's what I'm saying.
I breezed through a couple anime movies. And the most recent one I've watched, aside from FNAF, is the Makoto Shinkai film, The Place Promised in Our Early Days, which we did talk about on the after show. The brief Cliff Notes version is The Place Promised in Our Early Days is definitely Makoto Shinkai's first movie. It was rough. Aside from that, in the terms of rewatches, I watched the Mario movie again, and I watched the Miraculous movie again, because I noticed that my duplicate movie watches was at 3, which was really hard to add to my... You're like sweating right now.
I'm scared.
I'm doing such a good job of keeping you in
intense.
suspense here. So I wanted to do two duplicate rewatches so that it was an even 5, and I could be like, okay, 5's a lot easier to add to anything. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. I need to know.
So, my movie total as of Friday, November 10th at 4:20 p.m. is 101.
Okay.
So what's your number?
Okay. As of Friday, November 10th, 4:20 p.m., my number is 102.
Okay. So when was number 100? Because I know what my 100th is.
What was your 100th
And
movie?
this is what it comes down to.
This is it, guys.
Because it was whoever got there first,
Yeah.
which means your 100th movie had to be documented in Letterboxd and have the date on it.
Yeah.
So my 100, actually, I want to know what's your 100th movie?
My 100th movie was the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
What? Okay.
We watched my 100th movie together.
Aw,
That's tender.
how sweet. My 100th
So
movie.
mine was November 4th.
Oh my god. Hold on. I gotta find my... Where's my diary? Okay. So my 100th movie
I can't do this.
was The Place Promised in Our Early Days, watched on October 20th,
Shut
2023.
up.
I've been sitting on 100 movies. Dude, I was sitting in that episode of the after show talking about how, man, one of us is going to hit 100 pretty soon. I mean, I also might fumble. I had watched my 100th movie 2 days before. I've been sitting on this for weeks.
Good work. Good job.
I will never watch another movie again.
Good job. That was crazy. That was intense.
I also started my movie watching with Makoto Shinkai's, at the time, most recent movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended it with his first movie. So it was like kind of poetic in a way.
That's crazy.
Whether or not I'll reach I have true 100. Whether or not I'll reach Letterboxd 100 is a different story.
Yeah. That's crazy. Wow.
I got to watch 4 more movies.
Think
Oh
about
my
think about
gosh.
Christmas movies though. Like you're gonna be
I
watching.
watched a lot of Christmas movies last year, though.
Yeah, but you could watch more this year.
I could,
See,
but I'd have to find the time for
That
it.
was a crazy game that we played. We
And
dragged
we will
it out.
never do it again.
We dragged it out like 7 months.
That's true. We didn't start this until March.
Yeah. I'm proud of us. We both broke the 100 threshold, and it's only going to go up because I'm going to watch a ton of Christmas movies. So, good job.
Here's the thing.
Thank you for following us on this narrative.
I beat you to 100, but you'll probably get the most this year.
Yeah.
Because once I hit 100, so we did the top 10 Disney episode.
Yeah.
And you talked about how close you were to 100.
Yeah.
And I got really worried that between that episode and the after show, you were going to burn through like the 5 movies you needed to get to 100. So I burned through the 5 movies I needed to get to 100.
Yeah, when we
and then once I was there, I felt like this weight leave my chest. I was like, oh, it's out of my hands now.
I did it.
It's
wow.
over.
Way to go. Good job. Good work. Good work. I'm proud of you. Proud of this team. Thank you for following this narrative. We're not doing that again.
Never doing that again.
That was terrible.
I don't remember if I talked about it on the after show or if it was a private conversation we have. All of our conversations just kind of blur together.
Right.
I think if we ever do this challenge again, it should be like watch 50 movies in a year, but they all have to be new movies from 2023, and we are excluding rewatches.
Yeah.
Which I think would make it, one, help us to discover more movies instead of just let me rewatch 9 Star Wars movies, my 10 favorite Disney movies. Like, it would get us out there to watch more movies, because if it's new movies that came out this year, you kind of got to really dig for it.
You got to dig. But it also keeps you up to date. You know, because I'm really not up to date with new movies. I saw an Instagram post today that was like best movies of 23 so far, and I was like, I've never heard of a single one of these movies. I was like, what the heck?
It was nice to see FNAF because I could add another movie to my my 2023 ranked.
Well, I was
man, there's not going to be much more going on here.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, I was afraid that I had the thought cross my mind of, what do we do if both of our 100th movie was FNAF and we saw it together? I was like, oh no, what if we tie?
No.
But I
lured you into a false sense of security, though, when I was like, yeah, I haven't watched a lot of movies in a while.
Yeah, which was true because you...
False.
Yeah.
If you look at my Letterboxd, I hadn't watched anything. I hit that 100. I have not watched a single movie.
That was a good game. GG's. Shake on that one. Way to go. Good job.
Man.
And
then we never watched movies again.
All right. Well, we have a little bit of news that we're going to go over before heading into our main topic.
Can we save the all caps one for last?
Yes, we absolutely can. So, first piece of news to break into real quick is that the Nerdiest podcast turned 4 years old as of last week of time of release. So,
November 9th, we hit 4 years old. Podcast is a little toddler, and I'm happy to be here. And only,
it's an achievement, but it's also not like, I feel like 100 episodes was a bigger deal than 4 years old. So,
only 17 more years until the podcast can drink.
Let's go. We got to pay for this college. Man, this is crazy. This whole parenting thing.
I can't afford to send the podcast to college.
Yeah, anyway.
It is kind of surreal because, and I would agree, 100 episodes is a lot bigger deal. And I posted about it on Twitter. It is kind of surreal because I go back and listen to that episode where it was me and Colin talking about Ruby. And I do have a really fun episode planned for next anniversary because that's 5 years. It's like halfway to 10.
That's a bigger
deal.
That's a long time. That's a bigger deal.
I've got a fun episode already planned for that. But it is kind of crazy because if I were to go back and tell 4 years ago me, hey, this podcast is actually going to be the one, because we talked about on the 100th episode, I've done a lot of podcasts before, but they never really went anywhere. And if you would have told me then this is going to be the one and, it's going to be great, you're going to go 100 plus episodes and still going consistently, I probably wouldn't have believed you because I figured it would have just been another 10 episodes and we're done. So it's been a really great 4 years. Some episodes are better than others. Some guests are better than others.
That's true.
Some topics are better than others, but
we ball. At the end of the day, we ball. We got super into that on the 100th.
We ball.
Screw it, we ball. And we got really into that on the 100th episode. So if that's a topic you're interested in, definitely go listen to all 3 of the hours of the 100th episode. So, Happy birthday, Nerdiest Podcast. To many more.
We also, our Spotify Wrapped for the podcast is coming soon.
Very exciting.
Which we always go over that. If you're new, because I know we have a lot of new people this year. If you're new here, we go over all of our, because like Spotify will send us, here's your stats, here's your top countries, here's your top episode, like all that stuff. We go over that in our last episode of the year, which is always our 2020 whatever year in review.
Yep.
So this year would be 2023, and we go over like our top 10 movies, top 10 games, top 10 shows, like just a big like wrap up culmination of here's everything we got into this year, here's some of our favorite stuff, and then we go through all the analytics and we thank you guys because we wouldn't have those analytics without you. And then
stay tuned.
After that, 2024 season 6, baby.
Let's go. Little other news point is the SAG-AFTRA strike is now over after long debate. I'll be honest, I stopped following it a long time ago. It got really complicated and kind of hairy. So,
me too.
Good job, guys. I think.
Good job, guys.
Or that
AI
sucks.
can't replace you now.
What's
until
that meme?
they find another loophole in the system.
Amen. What's that meme where it's like, hey, I'm so happy for you, or I'm sorry that happened, whichever it is. I'm not reading all that. That's kind of how I feel about this.
Listen, my most excited thing to come out of the strike is the fact that our podcast friends, which is just genre geeks at this point.
Yeah, our podcast friends are kind of dropping like flies, I'll be honest. It's kind of sad.
Can go back to their regularly scheduled content, and they don't have to strike anymore.
Yeah, good for them. I'm proud of them.
Genre geeks, if you're listening, I don't know. Subgenre episodes go pretty hard.
They go kind of crazy. Like, maybe. Have you ever thought about?
They're pretty good.
You ever thought about franchising? I don't know about that. Maybe you could. Maybe you could give us a little call if you.
Maybe you could do subgenre as paid episodes.
That's
I would
what
pay.
I'm saying. I don't know. Little Spotify.
A little cha-ching on the side.
Cha-ching. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Anywho, Nick, would you like to share our last piece of news for today?
Let's go. Okay.
I figured you would want to share that.
Let me set the scene. It's Tuesday, 4 p.m. I'm sitting at work, getting ready to leave, going through Twitter, see a little Japanese tweet from the Nintendo account, and I'm like, oh, they just had their earnings call. It's probably some like Zelda sold whatever or Mario sold whatever. And everyone starts quote retweeting it of like, oh, is this real? Like, is this legit? And I was like, okay, let me look at it. So I go into it, do the translate. Nintendo announced a live-action Zelda movie out of nowhere. Like, legitimately out of nowhere. I don't even know what to say. I'm not going to say too much. Jackson, get off Instagram. We're podcasting.
Sorry.
Right now.
I had to like your comment.
I'm not going to say too much because we're going to do a whole episode on the Zelda movie because we both have a lot to say.
Yeah.
I will just surmise and say I am cautiously optimistic and hopeful that it's going to be good because I want it so desperately to be good. Live action wasn't my first choice, but we'll make the best of it and see what happens.
Yeah.
So
I can agree with that. I think the only thing I have to say is Chris Pratt, link or die. You know, if it's Danny
DeVito as Ganondorf, please.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode digging deep into that, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I promise.
It's gonna be good because
you know, there's just so much to say, and we've had an episode on our schedule that said building the Zelda movie for 2 years now, and it's just gotten pushed back. Like every time we've gotten close to doing it.
Every time we get close to doing it, we swapped it out for something else,
and it just hasn't worked out.
And then we talk. What's so crazy is the Zelda movie rumors have kind of been going all year.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we did our Tears of the Kingdom episode, it was a joint because the rumors were Illumination was going to do an animated movie. So we talked about it a little there. I don't remember what episode it was, but the live action rumors came up and we talked about that a little bit. And now we actually have something somewhat concrete to talk about. We have a movie announcement, producer, studio, writer, director, which
there's
is a decent amount to go off of. So stay tuned. That episode is coming soon.
I'm going to go ahead and give a little teaser and say I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified.
Me too. Somehow Ganondorf returned.
Somehow.
That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know.
That is such a... That was maybe the most top shelf joke you've ever made. Like, really, like, whoosh. Like, I knew exactly what the setup and the joke was. Like, I get it. But it was also so, like, niche and out there that, like...
yeah, like, if you know.
If you know, you know. But, like, bro, after looking at some of the filmography of some of the producers and of the people working on it, it seems kind of random. And so, I'm like, that's a choice, but okay. We'll
also,
see.
Sony is producing the movie, which is going to be really weird to see the Sony logo.
Yeah.
In front of a Nintendo movie, like Sony and Nintendo. Like, I know it's not their gaming division, but it's still kind of
completely different. I also
weird.
like, what does that look like for Universal? Like,
yeah, it's very interesting that they're not going with Universal, which, based on the rumor that we heard about Universal doing a live-action Zelda movie, it means they had a pitch and Nintendo actively chose to not go with that pitch. So, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it.
Right.
That's for the next
episode.
episode.
For a long time.
But before we jump into the main topic here, Jackson, I gotta ask you a very serious question.
Hit me with it.
Are you tired of endlessly scrolling through Netflix?
Bro, I'm exhausted. Let me
tell.
I was just about to talk about
looking at a bunch of shows that you don't even care about. This is perfectly on topic.
To talk about that. I was just about to talk about how much I don't care about Netflix.
Just had their Geeked Week and announced a bunch of stuff that doesn't look that great.
I don't care.
Except for Arcane Season 2. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, in like 2 years it's going to be out. And, you know, get out of here.
Whatever. But if you're tired of endlessly scrolling Netflix, Jackson, I think I have a solution for you.
Really? Tell me. What is it?
I have a solution to the problem.
Let me hear it.
And that comes in the form of our sponsor for this episode of the Nerdiest podcast.
For real? Let me hear it.
Lore.tv.
Wow.
Now, you might be thinking, what's Lore TV? What is it? I've never heard of it before. It's okay. I hadn't either for a long time. Lore
Tell me
TV,
what it is.
It's a fundraising platform.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Where you can choose to fund the shows and movies that you want to see and support the creators that you want to support. So when you pay your subscription fee, every week you get in-app currency called loot. And you can choose what shows or movies or projects you want to spend it on. So instead of you giving Netflix $15 a month and saying, hey, go spend it on whatever, a bunch of Hallmarky rom-com Christmas movies that I'm not going to watch, you can say, hey, I really like this show. I want to support this show. And it puts the decision-making back in your hands. And honestly, outside of like the really scripty stuff that I don't have to say, but I'm going to say because that's part of the pitch. I personally really think Lore is a great thing because it is that alternative to Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever, because you don't have that freedom to choose of what Disney's going to do with your money on your Disney Plus subscription. Whereas here, you do have that choice and you can say, hey, I really like this series. There's one on there that I love that is Churchville, that is openly, like, it's funding right now. It's kind of like it's a mix of crowdfunding, but also like you still pay the monthly subscription service. Churchville is like the Christian version of The Office, but it actually like looks really good and has a lot of production value to it. This platform isn't just the Christian alternative. It's actually really good, really high quality stuff that's on there. And trust me, I would not have accepted or pursued a sponsorship if I wasn't passionate and behind the ideas of the sponsor. So you can go check out Lore TV and sign up with the link in the description because you're supporting the show in doing that. And you're also getting to bring streaming back in your hands.
Let's go.
It's going to be great. And if you want to know, Lore, it was put out this week, has already, and they've only been public for a couple months, has already raised $80,000.
Wow.
For independent filmmakers who are just trying to make good stuff for you to watch, but can't necessarily get to Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, whatever.
Yeah.
Lore's already raised that money for them because of the subscribers like you. You could be a subscriber who helps fund stuff on Lore. And you can go check out the link in the description.
And there's a code, right?
Hold on.
Let's confirm.
I gotta
that there's
find
a
it.
code before we.
There is a code. I just have to pull it up.
I'm trying to remember. Was it? I don't want to say it if it's wrong.
I don't want to see, guys. I'm gonna be completely transparent with you.
We'll get there. You know,
this is the first time we've ever been truly sponsored. So
big exciting stuff. I love Lore so far. They've been super cool to work with and super cool to talk to, and their mission is super cool, and we really line up with everything that we really line up with everything they believe, and so we're really happy that we got to reach out for a sponsor. Make sure you use our code, and then you actually help our show too. So,
yep, you can use code NERDPOD, NERDPOD, all one word, all lowercase. NerdPod, like Nerdiest podcast.
Right. NerdPod.
Pretty crazy. Go check that out. Link in the description. Thank you to Lore for sponsoring us. Because this feels like we're a legitimate podcast.
Feels for real now. Yeah.
100 episodes in.
Yeah.
We got a sponsor.
Let's go.
That's pretty cool.
Let's go. All right.
With that sponsor out of the way, Jackson, let me ask you another question.
What? What?
Is Fortnite overhated? Thoughts?
Fascinating. I have a question.
Okay.
To answer your question. What is fork knife? Well,
it's the combination of using a fork and a knife.
Wow.
To eat your food.
Sounds great. So, before we dive deep into is Fortnite overhated, we're going to give a personal history of where we come from with Fortnite and how we feel about it general thoughts. But first, let me give a little bit of history of Fortnite. Put on your little teacher hats. What's a teacher hat look like? I don't know. Put on your learning caps. So, Fortnite was originally not called Fortnite. It was called Save the World, which was a zombie game, and it was like a zombie apocalypse save the world, Well, it released in 2017 on July 25th after 7 years of getting stuck in development hell. And so essentially, they were working on Save the World, and it was just not working out. They worked on it for 7 years, and the CEO wanted to scrap the project entirely. They said, this is not working. We need to scrap it. Well, right before he cut the project's funding, he left. He quit the company, and so they kept working on it, and they released Save the World on July 25th, 2017. But because they had been working on it for so long, zombie games weren't cool anymore. In 2010, you had really cool Plants vs. Zombies and, Call of Duty, stuff like that, where zombies was the thing. 7 years later, it's actually done and people don't care anymore. So, a few months later, on March 23rd, 2017, is a new game called Players Unknown Battlegrounds, also more known as PUBG. And PUBG released on March 23rd, 2017, and this starts to get super popular. They actually peaked in January of 2018 with about 3.5 million players. So they were doing pretty well, and this sparked the battle between PUBG and Fortnite. And so to capitalize on this brand new game type that people love, Fortnite, on top of Save the World, added the Fortnite Battle Royale. And so that released September 26th, 2017, to capitalize on the new genre. And so let's recap. PUBG released in March. The same year, Battle Royale for Fortnite released that September. So, to 2019 of that next year, EA released Apex Legends in February of 2019 to also capitalize on this. But apparently, and I didn't know this, they peaked on September 2023 at 453,000 concurrent players, which is super low. I thought there was a lot more Apex players than that. Kind of an L. And so PUBG and Fortnite got in a whole battle. There's a lot of lore there that I didn't have time to write down. There's just not worth getting into.
Lots of lawsuits. You copied
lawsuits.
me, I copied you, blah, 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 boo, ba, da, boo,
Lots
ba.
back and forth. PUBG said they did it first, which they did, but Fortnite said, well, we're doing it better and people like us better, which was true.
We're also doing it different because we have building.
Right.
There are things that make us different. You're just
Right.
mad that we're more popular.
Right. And then there's a whole thing. Fortnite gets taken off the App Store because it's not, Fortnite Mobile used to be a thing. It got ripped off the App Store because it didn't line up with Apple's credentials for in-app purchases where they take X amount. And
Apple was like, what? You don't want to give us all the money?
Right, essentially.
And Epic was like, no.
No.
And
so they ripped it off the App Store.
Removed from the App Store, actually.
And it has yet to come back, which kind of shocks me because usually when that stuff happens, it comes back like a year later and they work out some deal. They're just out, which is kind of baller, honestly. I'm kind of with Epic on that one. So to give you a perspective of the popularity of these three games, you have PUBG, Fortnite, and Apex Legends. So Apex peaked at 453,000 players. PUBG peaked in 2018 with 3.5 million or so. And then Fortnite originally peaked in March of 2021 with 35 million players. PUBG peaked at 3.5. Fortnite peaked at 35 million. So Fortnite was obviously the winner in this. And part of the reason we wanted to talk about this more is recently the Fortnite OG came out, which is like kind of a re-release of their original season for like a month. Super nostalgic. Everyone loves it. And so November 4th, 2023, they reached a new peak like 7 years later after the game's release, they hit a new peak player at 45 million players. 10 million players higher than their last peak. 7 years later.
Of nostalgia.
That's what I'm, part of it is the power of nostalgia. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, Fortnite has had the staying power that no other game has been able to achieve. Like, they figured it out. And I feel like there's a Fortnite culture. You have, casual people that squad up, but also, like, the professional Fortnite community is huge. There's like big, esports. Lord have mercy. Esports for Fortnite are huge. And so naturally you would think, 45 million players, the general moxie and like feeling about this game would be good, right? No, Fortnite is like the butt of every joke in any gaming conversation. It's always Fortnite's for little kids. Fortnite, does this, and Fortnite just has a stupid battle pass system and this and that. And so we wanted to bring up the question, is Fortnite overhated? Like, how could a game that 7 years after release has 45 million players be generally disliked on the internet? And so give me some general thoughts now that we've set the groundwork. How do you feel about this?
Well, before I say how I feel, let me go back.
Give a little context.
And give my brief context with Fortnite. Excuse me. I was never like big into Fortnite. I played it a lot with my Xbox friends, but I was never like, oh, let me get the new battle pass. Oh, let me do the thing. It also didn't help that I sucked at Fortnite. Like, I was terrible. I was always the guy with the med kit in the squad who I was just really carrying around meds so that the good people could continually stay healed. And it was fun. I've really enjoyed the most recent, like the OG stuff, because it does take me back to like, oh, I remember going to Pleasant and going to Tilted Towers and Dusty Divot and like all this stuff. And that, a lot of nostalgia there. But also, I dipped out of Fortnite for a long time. Like, I've well documented it for some reason on the Lego Maniacs of my descent from like, I was playing with these people and then I realized they were really toxic. So now I'm not playing with them anymore. And at that point, I kind of dipped out of Fortnite until 2021. I think like Christmas 2021, I got back on. Were you the one who got me back on Fortnite?
I'm pretty sure I was, because that's around the time that I got into it for the first time. And so, like, me
and
getting into it for the first time,
Switch.
yeah, was you getting back into it because we wanted to play together.
Right. And at first, it was just, like, really casual. And it was really casual, and I wasn't super good at it, but I was, like, kind of good at it because I could understand how to really play. And I've been playing it consistently since then. So going on 2 years of consistently playing Fortnite, which is so wild because I used to be the kid who was like, Fortnite is dumb, Fortnite is cringe, Fortnite is for babies. If you like Fortnite, you're an idiot and a goober. And now I'm like, I don't know, you want to hop on and do some duos tonight?
Right.
Like, I just played Fortnite with my coworkers the other day, and it was super chill, super casual. Like, I'm not a sweaty Fortnite player where I'm like, oh, I didn't get a victory royale. I'm not going to bed till I get a victory royale.
Yeah.
It's just very casual. It's an easy game to play with people cross-platform. So, like, not everybody I know has a Switch. So it's really easy to be like, hey, hop on your PC or your PlayStation or whatever, and we can all play Fortnite together. And I've taken a lot of criticism for playing Fortnite because in college, I played Fortnite a lot with two of my college friends, and we would do trios all the time. And it was one of those things where, like, we just did it. It didn't really matter what anyone said about, like, ew, you're going home to play Fortnite? And I'm like, yeah. Why does that bother you? Like, what? This is the one thing I've never understood is why does it bother people so much that I'm playing Fortnite? It does not affect you in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
That I'm going home to play Fortnite with my friends.
How many times do we have to say it costs $0 to worry about you?
Exactly. So let me play Fortnite in peace.
Yeah. I have a somewhat similar history. So if you listen to the 100th episode, you can hear the whole story of our friendship, how we met, whatever. Brief context, when we lived in the same place in like 2016, 17 was, I felt like that was way more the like peak time for like Fortnite, you know? That was the first Fortnite peak, because that's when everyone was telling me that I should get in on this hip new cool game called Fortnite. And I remember thinking that I had a superiority complex as someone that wasn't into Fortnite, of like, oh, that's, you know, I was in on the cringe, you know, babies first for third person shooter, whatever. And so it was a couple years later when I met, I had a friend, and I kid you not, he was a professional Fortnite player, and he was phenomenal. And
I remember this
guy.
Right.
Right. And so he was actually really, really good. And I'll restrain from names for the time being, but he was like, oh, you should play with us. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I just created an account and I hopped on. And it was the most frustrating experience of my life because he was level like 300 something and I had never played before. And so it was like literally the sweatiest lobby you could possibly get. And I'd never played this game before. And so through that, I ended up meeting like other people that liked to play. So like you and I played, and I ended up getting my family into it. And so now, like, me and my dad and my younger siblings will squat up. Like, we have a whole setup. Like, we have 2 PCs and Xbox and like 2 Xboxes in our family room upstairs, and we'll squat up, and like we're all there, and it's awesome. And so that's kind of why I like it. Is like you said, it's cross-platform. And, you know, it's really a pretty easy entry point, I think. Like, it's one of the easier games to understand. The graphics are fun. The skins are fun. You know, you could say it's corny and lame, but also at the end of the day, like, it's really bringing people together because anyone from any platform can play, and it's a free game. And so, like, you know, if you want weird, like, funky skins, like, you know, you pay for that. But literally anyone can play. And so I feel like that's where a lot of their player base is coming from, is anyone can play, no matter if you have a PC, a Switch, an Xbox, whatever. We can all play. We can all come together and play on Fortnite, if nothing else. So that's kind of what I'll say is, like, you know, we're hating on it because I will say a lot of kids do play Fortnite. It is kind of a kid's, right, like middle school boy is like the key Fortnite demographic, I feel, even still. But I feel like most of the people that I know that play Fortnite are like college dudes, you know, or like, you know, newly graduated dudes. And so like, I feel like narrowing it down to saying this is a kid's game is solely based on the perception of the YouTube community around Fortnite. That's my theory, is that the media coverage of Fortnite is all the cringy, like, oh my gosh, like thumbnail face people on Twitch and YouTube and Instagram and stuff, where that's just it's cringe. Like that kind of content is really cringy, but it appeals to the younger audience. And so it makes it look like Fortnite is a kid's game, when in reality, I mean, it's rated T. It's not like super gritty and intense. So, you know, air quote kids game. You could say the same thing about, you know, the new Lego Skywalker Saga, but I know so many adults that are playing the Skywalker Saga. So I feel like saying this is a kids game isn't really fair, you know?
I'd also like to bring up, I think part of this stigma of Fortnite as a kids game is because of the art style and how it looks compared to literally any other shooter
right
in the gaming space. Call of Duty, very realistic. Battlefield, very realistic. Apex, Valorant, PUBG, all very realistic, gritty shooters. And then you have Fortnite, which doesn't use the word kill. It uses elimination. Or defeated, or whatever. So it does have that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, the bada bing, bada boom. And there's no blood. It's just when you kill somebody, they disappear into like a hologram and then they're gone. So it's one of those things of like, it looks like a kid's game compared to the other games in its genre. Now, we've seen something very similar happen with another really well-known game in Minecraft.
Ooh.
This is not the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
Because Minecraft originally was super cool, and they're like, hit new game, and then all that YouTube content came up, which I was raised on Minecraft YouTube content, so I have a little bit, like, not skewed, but a little bit different view of it. But all that YouTube content came up and brought in a lot more kids and brought a lot more kids into the Minecraft space. So then Minecraft became this like kiddie game. And as the timing would work out, here's Fortnite, a game that incorporates building and shooters and like all this stuff. And like all these cool, edgy Minecraft people who don't like all these kids are like, oh, let's all jump to Fortnite. So they all jump to Fortnite. Minecraft dies down. And then Minecraft, eventually all of the kids move to Fortnite, and the only people left playing Minecraft are the hardcore people, like the hardcore Minecraft super fans. So then eventually the same thing happens to Fortnite. All these kids come up, all the YouTube content comes up that stirs up the stigma of Fortnite as a kids game, and then everyone in 2019, 2 years later, after Fortnite dropped, everyone started going back to Minecraft.
Yep.
And then all the YouTubers started going back to Minecraft. Like PewDiePie doing his Minecraft series. That revived Minecraft from the dead.
Oh my gosh.
Like Minecraft was on the verge of death. And PewDiePie stepping in and playing Minecraft just for fun completely revitalized that game. And now Minecraft is like, I don't know how I feel about Minecraft. We could do a whole episode like this about Minecraft. We could
also go down a Minecraft rabbit trail because I have even more thoughts than Fortnite.
Me
too. But you're right. And I feel like we're in a weird place now where the community of these games is a lot based on what the YouTube scene looks like. Because gaming YouTube is one of the biggest industries, not just in media, but on YouTube, but also in media. And so it's like the gaming space is really what's dictating a lot of the what looks like public opinion, which just isn't always true. And so it's an interesting paradigm. But I also like, if I'm at church and I'm at if I'm in the youth group and I walk through and walk by middle school boys, they're probably talking about Fortnite, and so it's like, yes, I understand, but also I play Fortnite as a college student, and I know a lot of other college students that do the same thing. So it's like, it almost feels stereotypical, if that makes sense. Not even it doesn't have to be super extreme. Don't stereotype Fortnite players, because it's not that deep, bro. It's more like, understand that you don't have a game with 45 million players and say that they're all 10-year-olds. That's not fair, and it's not true.
Yeah, and say what you will about Fortnite and the Battle Pass system, but Fortnite's the only game that really has staying power.
No, that's so true.
Like, nobody's talking about PUBG. I know a decent amount of people play the Call of Duty, I think it's Warzone?
I think it's Warzone.
Battle Royale. But again, not as popular as Fortnite.
Well,
Apex, not as popular as Fortnite. Valorant, not as popular as Fortnite.
Think about a game that's similar to Fortnite, but also different, was Fall Guys. Fall Guys
fell off so
ironically fell very hard. And so, I actually see Fortnite very similar to Fall Guys. And Fall Guys, was this super fun and like kind of plushy game that was also super competitive and required some skill, but also was like super appealing to families or kids, and also got some really big YouTube coverage. Like Markiplier played Fall Guys for a while, and it was super entertaining and fun. That's how I found out about it. And so they added a battle pass system and this and that. But like you said, it just didn't have the staying power. Like, it was like up here and then it just went zoom, like it was done. And
another
so like
game. No, go ahead, finish your point.
I was just gonna say, like, we can talk about this. What is it about Fortnite that has kept it in the space? Why do we have 45 million players 7 years later?
Right. Another game I'd like to throw in the same category as Fall Guys is Among Us.
Yeah.
That's another game that really came and went. And what's very interesting about Fall Guys and Among Us is they kind of came and went in the same time period.
They came in together.
They were both 2020 games. It was like Fall Guys shot up, everybody's making content, and then Among Us was kind of down here and had a slower burn of getting to where Fall Guys was at. But then Fall Guys, pun intended, fell off, and then you had Among Us coming up, and like people were still making Among Us content 6 months, 7, 8 months after the initial popularity had died down. And now nobody really makes Among Us content anymore.
No.
I mean, there are like Mr. Beast will pump out on his gaming channel an Among Us video every now and then, and Among Us still gets regular updates. Among Us actually closed the last Nintendo Direct, which is kind of weird.
Which is so funny. Like, there's no way that was a big enough deal to close the Direct.
And what I'll say makes Among Us a little different is Among Us is very dependent on you having people to play with. Because yes, you can play it online anonymously, but it's not as fun.
It's not fun, and it's not safe.
No.
Yeah. So like your younger audience that was also really in on Among Us, a lot of them, granted, it's kind of an epidemic that I could go into for a very long time. There's some young kids that shouldn't be allowed to hop on voice chat online and talk to strangers, but a lot of them do, and that's more of a neglectful parenting thing. Regardless of that, that's a
Does
whole
Among Us
nother
have
conversation.
voice chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Does it not?
It does?
It absolutely does. I know the VR one does.
The VR one does. I don't think any of the other versions do.
Really?
I know in PC you can probably mod it in, but I don't think like the Switch version does. I don't think the Xbox or PlayStation version does.
Have the people been doing Discord?
Yeah. That's one of the things about Among Us that made it very hard to stick around is you have to know people, and when you do play online, you're relegated to just typing in the chat, which on like Switch, if you're playing on the TV docked, it's very hard to type out things in the limited time you have to
Yeah.
vote and suss people out. So at that point, you're kind of just picking people at random, and that's not really fun. It's always more fun when you play with people you know. Whereas like
Right.
Fortnite, I mean, it might not be the best experience, but you can do duos, trios, and squads fill and get random people in your squad, or you
Or you
can
could
just
also
play
just
solo.
hop on a solo. Right.
Like,
it's like
it can be enjoyed regardless of whether or not you have people to play with, and I think that has really contributed to keeping it around for as long as it has. Same with Fall Guys. I mean, Fall Guys, I don't know. I never got into Fall Guys just because I didn't have the optimal device to play it on.
We played a little bit together, like once or twice.
We made a video
and
on
it just
it.
wasn't it. We did do a video a long time ago, and I low-key love that video. I still think that's some A-tier content. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Among Us, I had a really good point, and I cannot remember what it was. Like you said, like Among Us was also the cross-platform, like, you know, anyone can play this and that super cheap. But also, like you said, like what platform you played on gave you a different experience. And so it was easy. It really was best enjoyed on a PC where you had a keyboard and could type this and that. But you also, the two things that Fortnite and Among Us have in common, or the one thing, is that they have had cultural impact like nobody's business.
I was about to bring that up.
Like literally just in our language, we say sus. Like, oh gosh, he vented Among Us. Like, it's so, it's so cringe, but it's also like, who cares? It's kind of fun.
Among Us has not stuck around as a game, but it, like, in terms of meme culture and just like Gen Z culture in general, it has absolutely stayed around.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Even after the fact. Like, you know, Among Us, I wonder if I could find the Among Us concurrent player base right now.
Because here's the thing. Among Us, which I would love to do an Among Us stream on YouTube with
That'd be so
viewers
fun.
and like open up the code and let people in. And then at a certain... Among Us on stream is fun until I get imposter, and then everyone can watch the stream and
they would know.
and then they vote me off, which, you know, I don't know, might be a like, I don't know, it would be a fun time because it's an easy game to interact with people. Same with like Mario Kart and stuff. Fortnite, you cannot do that.
You
but we
can't,
should
no.
do a
You
Fortnite
get
stream
stream
in the
sniped.
future.
According to this, and I can't tell if this is a credible source or not. It's just hard to tell. As of January 2023, the recorded number of players for Among Us was 76 million. There is no freaking way.
There's no way Among Us has more players than Fortnite.
There's no way. I have not heard of someone playing Among Us in like a year. It's been a hot minute.
And that's so weird because Among Us has a max of 10 people per lobby and Fortnite has 100.
Granted.
So Fortnite has 10 times more people needed to start a match. But Among Us has more players?
That might be total. Let me see if I can find the current. Oh, I found some. I found some really solid. Okay, so it looks like
that can't be accurate.
This looks more solid and accurate, more current data. They average about 50 million players a month. So
that's still really
That's
high.
still really high. But if you say, 50 million divided by 30, you're looking at about 1.6 million players a day, which is really high and good. But you also have to think about the global impact of Among Us and how the entire world really plays Among Us.
Right, but the entire world really plays Fortnite.
Right. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I think when you look at the Fortnite player base too and you say 45 million in one day. Like at the same time.
But that's a new peak. That's not consistent. Because I think something we're neglecting is Fortnite did fall off.
No, it absolutely did.
Like, it was still popular and was still being played, but it fell off the further away they got from that original map, especially last year when they had that event that just kind of like shattered the old map and rebuilt the one that we had for a while, and now they're like going back in time. And I'm very curious how they're like where they're gonna go story wise at the end of this season of like I'm also very curious if they have a set plan, but then they see the 44 million and they're like, oh, maybe we change that plan.
I feel like
and maybe we do something different, because I don't think you get 44 million players in a weekend and then go back to what you were doing before. You find a way to keep those 44 million. And we can talk about some of the things that make OG feel very different from, you know, the old and new Fortnite that we were playing. Like, I was playing today and I didn't realize it's actually kind of hard to find shields and to get health, because in the other version of Fortnite, I'll call it other instead of old, the other version, you had food, med mist, med kits, bandages, slap juice, chug splash. Like, you had all this stuff, whereas now it's back to the OG loot pool, which is band-aids, med kits, chug splash, and then big and small shields. And that's it. And like there's...
Or chug jug, you mean?
They have... Yeah, chug jug. They kept some of the newer stuff. Like, oh, we're going to put produce and like food and stuff in there. So there's a couple more alternatives than there were originally. And they've found a nice balance of bringing back the old loot pool while also bringing in some of the newer stuff that they added. Like you can still mantle and sprint. And I think those were great quality of life features that make it a lot easier to escape the storm. So I think they're going to try to find that healthy medium. And something I've seen a lot of people talk about is less is more, because Fortnite was almost overly complicated with the gold bars and the augments, and which I know you were never a huge fan of the augments. I thought augments were cool. There was certain stuff, like I liked the capture points. Those were really cool.
That was fun.
So there's certain aspects of the newer stuff that you could bring into the older stuff, and I think that's where they're going to end up going, because you don't want to lose those 44 million people who are so hyped about the old stuff coming back. There's so many memes, and like all my feed is just me and the boys squatting up on November 3rd just to go play Fortnite OG again, and like land tilted towers, and like all this hype was built up around going back, and I don't think they want to lose that.
No. I also think this is one of the few times that I'm okay with some nostalgia marketing. I don't know what I feel like usually, and we've preached about this on the podcast forever, is like nostalgia marketing is stupid, it's lazy, it doesn't work, this and that. But this one feels really genuine to me. It really feels they're like, we really like want to honor these memories you have. Like, just come. It feels like we're coming home. We're like, hey, come on back. Like, we're just going to hang out and just do some OG. We're going to ride around in a golf cart for a while. We're going to hop in some shopping carts. And, you know, it feels like, and this is kind of, we touched on this a little bit earlier, is I feel like what Fortnite had become was this really sweaty shooter game. It really became like this super intense, like, you know, you have your augments and you're building all this crap and you're like, you know, because the building's normal. I play zero build because we're on console and it's insufferable to build on console.
Can we talk about zero build for a second?
Dude.
One of the best changes they ever made to the game.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, zero build is the only reason I still play Fortnite. When I jumped on initially, I was kind of like, I don't like that I shoot at somebody and then the Eiffel Tower gets built.
Yeah.
Because I shot them once and now they're shooting down at me.
Yeah.
And then they added zero build. It was part of like the storyline for one of the seasons.
Right.
I remember it was like, oh, you can't build. You have to work story-wise and like fill out the battle pass quest to get back the ability to build. And then they made it a permanent mode because so many people were like, oh, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, it requires a lot more skill because now when somebody shoots you, you can't just put up a wall. Right. So I think it's nice that they took that feedback and said, okay, you like zero build?
Right.
Now it's a mode.
Let's do
you
zero
can play
build.
Zero build or you can play build. I only play zero build.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more fun because I can just focus on the shooter aspect of it. Because I was never big on building anyway. I always kind of sucked at building. I would put like the most basic stuff up in front of me just to avoid getting hit.
Like I can do basic builds, but when you get into these, I also think like sometimes the matchmaking isn't always ideal, and so sometimes, you would get really far in a match and you'd spend like 25 minutes getting to like top 5, and then everyone else is building like these ungodly towers and mansions, and you're like, this isn't fun anymore. Like not even on it's a skill issue, like just learn to build, but it's more of a, this isn't fun anymore. Like you're not, like, come fight me. Like the point is we're supposed to fight. I'm just bored because you're just building right now. So Zero Build is an incredible addition, and I think like you said, removing that made us really hone in on the key elements of what makes Fortnite. And so, saying build, I think building is kind of a key element of Fortnite, but it's just like you can remove it and it'll be okay. Where I feel like going to OG, removing all the med mist and, gold bars and augments and capture points and everything really stripped it down to its core of made you realize that it's genuinely a really charming game. And it was really starting to lose that because it was getting so technical and minute, and the story was getting kind of convoluted, and you could do bounty boards, but the bounty boards had 3 options and you could choose what you wanted out of the bounty board.
Yeah,
and
I didn't like that.
They just added so many things that it didn't feel like Fortnite anymore. And I understand, like, we've been talking about staying power, and like, you have to keep up. You have to keep up with, what the current market wants. You have to add stuff and change stuff and everything to stay for 7 years. But I also feel like this is such a breath of fresh air for Fortnite, is to say, we're stripping down everything new that we've added that makes it really complicated, and it made it feel really sweaty and made it feel really competitive, where I feel like now it's like, you have guns and healing and shield, and you can, level up and go through and get these cool skins just like you used to. That's all I ever wanted out of Fortnite. You can do special fun events. That's cool. Something we haven't touched on is that, I need to get exact numbers on this, but Fortnite has been the biggest of video game concert experiences.
Oh, that's right. They started doing that. I forgot.
Yeah,
that they were doing that.
Yeah, and so like Marshmello, Travis Scott, and Ariana Grande are some of the biggest.
I'm pretty sure they also had I think they did a concert for a Japanese artist as well. The guy who did the first ending for Spy Family. I don't remember his name. But I'm pretty sure they did a concert for him as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing it pop up in all their marketing and stuff, and I was hopeful they would do an emote, but then they didn't.
Yeah, and so like, when Marshmello did a show in Fortnite, it got like almost 11 million players hopped on to watch. When Travis Scott came on, over 12 million players came on to watch. And so like, you have to ask, when you ask the question, what gives a game staying power? At the end of the day, Fortnite as a whole really cares about their community. They really do want to give you things that make you want to get on. Not even in a, there are games that do events that like are supposed to make you want to get on, and it feels very corporate. It feels very marketing, and audiences really hate feeling like they're being marketed to. Where Fortnite feels very genuine in what they're trying to accomplish, and they're very like, even though, these really, we've talked about the YouTube scene for Fortnite. It's kind of cringe, and you have like, all these kids like watching Ninja Fortnite and all this, but they also like pull in those creators, and they're like, hey, we want to, give you skins in this game and this and that. And that's kind of cool. I really appreciate that. And so I think internally, Fortnite players feel like Epic cares, Would you how do you feel about that? Do you feel like they care?
Yes, I would agree. I think Epic cares a lot more about sorry, I'm looking at something to bring up for the next point.
You're good.
That I have. But Epic does very much care about their audience, which is why I think they're gonna change. If their plan wasn't to keep the OG version in some way, shape, or form, they're going to find a way to keep it. I think they're going to see this uptick. I wouldn't be shocked if we got a permanent fixed mode that was OG Fortnite. And that map and that loot pool and everything just stayed, and it was another option. Or you can have normal Battle Royale. And there is a difference between the two. There's the new version, if you prefer all of the more complex aspects of it, which I like some of it. But then there is that OG version for people who just want to play the OG, and maybe that's how they keep these OG people coming back and, you know, buying stuff from the item shop and getting in the Battle Pass, which the Battle Pass would then get them into the normal mode. And, maybe that's how they do it. Maybe they try to overlap those two a little bit. But I do think they're going to take that into consideration.
They have to take action from here.
That's just who they are. That's just how they do it.
And they really care. And it's really sweet.
Yeah. But now, here's a point I want to bring up. And this is the most most frequently heard complaint or stance against Fortnite, is that Fortnite is carried by collabs. The only reason it is still relevant is because of collabs. So let me go through some of their collabs. So way back in season 4.
Some of them are wild. Some of their also explanation, collab equals they have skins in the shop from X movie or X artist. That's essentially what that
or
means.
There's some limited time item or something,
you know, related to.
So the first one they did, according to the official Fortnite wiki, was they had a limited time mode where you could get the Infinity Gauntlet. Because that was right around when Infinity War came out. And then they've done the NFL,
interesting,
Marshmallow. They've done a lot of Marvel skins. They've done John Wick, Stranger Things. What else? DC. I wish there was a better list that was just the
collabs.
All of the collabs. What I don't want all collab skins. I want crossover. Is that what I'm looking for?
Let me look. Every single Fortnite collab and crossover in history.
I'm trying.
Gotta go to reader view. Hold on, guys.
Fortnite
1 second.
collabs.
We're gonna get there.
Is this it?
Naruto. Marshmallow.
Okay,
Deadpool.
wait. Here we go. Marvel, DC. They've done the Icon series, which is just real world people. So they had Ninja. They had a Mr. Beast skin, Bruno Mars. They've also got a bunch of different music emotes. There are just songs and dances and trends that are emotes. Those are a bunch of collabs. Now, of course, we can't not mention the anime collabs. They've done Naruto, Dragon Ball, My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Attack on Titan are the 5 anime collabs they've done, which I was all over the My Hero Academia stuff. I bought all the skins because, of course, I did. When the Jujutsu Kaisen stuff came out, I got Gojo because it's the only character I like. Same for Dragon Ball. I got Goku. Attack on Titan, Eren was part of the Battle Pass. And they've done Star Wars. There's a Star Wars skin for every character ever. There's a Marvel skin for every character ever. Same with DC. Here's what I want to say about that, though. You can say Fortnite is carried by collabs, and the only reason it's still relevant is because of collabs, but here's the thing. If the people want anime collabs, what's wrong with doing anime collabs? If people want a Demon Slayer skin and, add all of the Demon Slayer stuff, why not just add the Demon Slayer stuff?
Yeah.
It sells well. It's the same people who are very, anti-capitalism, where they're oh, this is dumb and stupid. And it's that's capitalism. You capitalize on what people want so that they give you their money.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And, there are certain collabs that, in May, we always get a Star Wars event because it's May the 4th. So we get, a 2-week or a month-long thing for Star Wars, and it's like, oh, here's a bunch of new skins. Here's a like mini battle pass or whatever. They did the same thing for Jujutsu Kaisen and Dragon Ball and My Hero, and it's like, what's the issue? It's hurting you none that there are My Hero skins in Fortnite.
Yeah. How many times do we have to say it costs $0 to worry about yourself? That's what I'm saying. And I understand that argument. I think that's kind of valid, because you also there's not other games that are doing this. Like there's fewer games, and anytime they do it, like Nicki Minaj just got added to Call of Duty, and we're like, that's the dumbest thing we've ever seen. That is so stupid.
I think the coolest thing about Fortnite, though, is that John Wick, Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, Gojo and Goku can all squat up
They
together.
can all squat up. And I feel like
it's the ultimate crossover game.
That's what I'm saying.
Where anyone from anything can just squat up.
Be there.
And hit the gritty.
Like Anakin versus Darth Vader versus Pickle Rick versus, your crazy Aunt Irene. Like, literally everyone's in Fortnite. And I feel like other games have tried to do this, and it doesn't work because Fortnite has set themselves up to make that fit the vibe. The vibe of Fortnite is wacky, it's crazy, it's quirky, it's charming.
It's fun.
It's fun. The point is that it's fun. And I feel like, if you don't think it's fun, then that's fine. And, that's kind of a personal preference thing. I don't really care. But I also feel like a game with 45 million players 7 years after its release shouldn't have such a bad stigma around it. Like, I feel like we haven't really fully gotten over the Fortnite is cringe era, where I also feel like that's mainly just online opinion. Anytime I talk to people in person about Fortnite, they're super into it. They love it. And, there's some people that would rather play Apex, and that's fine. I don't, that's whatever. If you'd rather play Overwatch, I don't really care. But generally, Overwatch, more like overrated. Ayo, mew, 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 mew. Yeah, that's kind of just how I feel. It's like, we have a lot of like public online that's like, Fortnite's so cringe, it's carried by collabs, when I'm like, okay, but it's working. So it's kind of like,
Right, if it's working, why they're not going to stop doing it because it's working.
Right. And so it's like, kind of, I don't know, like kind of wrapping up this entire conversation in a bow of like, Fortnite general online consensus for a while was for kids, cringe, carried by collabs. And we're not fully over that, even though they've kind of proved that they're here to stay.
Right.
And they're kind of
Fortnite's not going anywhere, but
no, of course not.
We're stuck with it.
Right. And so it's like, I feel like Fortnite is really easy to get into. I feel like it's not one of those games that's a bullet train, and so if you're not on, then you're not getting on. I feel like you could get into Fortnite now and not miss anything, because like there is a storyline, but you don't have to follow it. Also, something to bring up is, they have creator game modes. If you don't like Battle Royale, there's 1,000 other games to play on Fortnite, which like I'm not into creator game modes, but I also I see the value. It's kind of like playing old Minecraft maps that were made by creators. And so Epic giving those players the ability to create their own thing was a gold mine, because it means Fortnite is infinitely expandable into whatever you want it to be. And so that being said, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And so I would say give it a shot. Go for it. Like, it's not supposed to be super serious. It's supposed to be fun and goofy and charming. And, if Pickle Rick shoots Darth Vader and, some random snow globe man who's a default skin shoots someone in dinosaur PJs, that's awesome. That is all that I want. That's what I'm saying.
Fortnite, dude. Say what you want about Fortnite. They have some pretty solid skin designers, though.
I feel like
some of those Fortnite skins, some of the original ones,
they go crazy.
Are kind of fire.
Now there have been a lot of misses recently. I will say that. It's like not like I'll look at some battle passes in recent years and say, I'm okay. Like, I don't need those. But some of them I'm like, bro, especially the level 100 skins, I'm like, bro. That's kind of
we can't forget they did a Transformers collab this year.
They did do a Transformers collab.
They added Optimus Prime to Fortnite. That was kind of crazy.
Do you feel like it's a sign that you've made it if like your thing gets added to Fortnite, or do you feel like it's just kind of arbitrary?
No, I think it's you've made it.
Yeah.
I think the only big holdout in terms of Fortnite is adding anything Nintendo.
Yes.
Once we get like Mario or Metroid or Link or whatever in Fortnite,
it's over.
Then it's the perfect game.
Yeah.
Fortnite has peaked right there and will never get any better.
I'll also argue Disney. If Mickey Mouse can be up here just like like Goofy, I'm getting that
Mickey
Goofy
Mouse
skin
with a
day
pump
one.
shotgun.
Day one, I'm getting that
would be
Goofy skin.
Awesome.
There's
a couple
over.
they're holding out. But the Disney what was they added
Kingdom
a skin
Hearts.
recently and they were like, if this person can be in Fortnite with a gun, Disney has no excuse to not. Hold on.
Oh,
what
I'm trying to
was,
remember
like,
who it
the
was.
most recent skin that they added.
I'm trying to remember who it was. Dang.
It was someone
I mean, think about Kingdom Hearts,
relatively
though.
recent.
Like, Kingdom Hearts is pretty...
There's a lot of Disney-adjacent stuff in Fortnite, like Marvel, Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Right, but that's stuff that they're okay with having weapons. I think the biggest thing is they don't want their beloved, like... But also, can you think of, like, Sleeping Beauty, like, up in here with, like, an AR? That's what I'm saying. So, anyway, do you have anything else to add to this before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
All
Fortnite,
right.
go play it. It's a good game. I don't care what you have to say. Fortnite, good. Not perfect.
Not perfect.
But
No
good.
such thing as perfect. But you can't deny, 7 years later, it hits a new peak player base. You can't deny they're doing something right.
Yeah.
So, man, unless you have anything else to add, I'd like to say thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. This was a much bigger and more productive conversation than I really expected. I'll be honest. Like,
yeah.
I was really like, all right, the Fortnite episode, let's see how this goes. But
now, I do want to say,
let me hear
this
it.
episode was supposed to be about Loki season 2.
Yeah.
And then neither of us have started it yet. I just haven't, one, I haven't had the time, and two, I don't really care. I know I said it was the one MCU thing I cared about, but then it started airing and I didn't watch the first episode. And then, 5 more episodes went by and I still haven't started it yet. I've been getting ridiculed by this one coworker though, who's like, "You're a nerd podcast and you're not watching Loki." And I was like, "Bro, I've seen like 2 people talk about Loki. No one is talking about it."
No one cares. And someone cares. Someone out there cares. And I'm glad that you care.
Someone obviously cares.
It's out there. And it actually ended with an 82 from Rotten Tomatoes total. And I'm
I
kind of
heard
like,
the ending was pretty wild.
That's what
and
I
I heard.
heard.
The story was pretty wild because they're like, so the synopsis from my coworker was, it's now a moral issue because Loki and Sylvie want to let the branches keep going.
Yeah.
But then there's the people who side with the TVA that think they should
just
solidify
cut
it back down to the one timeline. And they're like, "Oh, but you're killing people who have lives and personalities and all this stuff." So it sounds really good, but also my Disney Plus subscription ended today.
Oh, so sad.
That's
Question
rough.
mark. Yeah.
Can I borrow
granted-
yours? I don't think they've implemented password sharing in the U.S. yet.
TBH, you probably could. Also, speaking of Marvel, before we wrap up, the Marvels came out today, and I've never wanted to see a movie less in my life.
$6 million, baby, $6 million.
Is that
$6 million in Thursday? It's currently trailing behind The Flash,
bro?
which says a lot.
I feel like what I might do is I kind of want to see it just to know, and so I might get a ticket for FNAF and then slide over to the Marvels. Just
no, that's so evil.
Because I want to know, but they're not getting any of my money, and so it's kind of like,
right.
Well, what's the
I don't
moral?
wanna contribute, but I don't want to.
I don't
know how. I'm okay with not seeing it. I'm cool with skipping the Marvels this weekend and going to see Journey to Bethlehem next week.
Yeah. Yeah, that one looks really
like,
good.
I'd rather support a movie like that than another woke Disney garbage slop fest.
Honestly, it just looks like too much girl power. I don't think I'd be able to handle it.
I'm really looking forward to. We're gonna do a Wish review. I think.
Hopefully. Don't hold us to that.
Hopefully. Please don't hold us to
We've been really bad
it
this year.
may or may not happen.
We've been really bad this year about keeping the schedule.
But I have a lot of interesting thoughts about Wish that I'm going to save for that episode. But if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know what I'm talking about.
There's going to be a lot to break down. So make sure you're following us on Spotify and on Twitter and on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast and on YouTube at The Nerdiest Podcast so that you know everything that's going on. And I know some of those channels are quiet right now. It's because we're getting ready to do big stuff next year. And it's just kind of a lot to keep track of right now. But make sure that you are subscribed on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you're listening so that you know when new episodes come out. Also, if you want extra incredible bonus content that we're pushing right now, you can go on a Spotify subscription for very cheap, $3 a month, or on Patreon for either of our Nerdiest Plus or Nerdiest Max tier for amazing extra content. We also have some cool stuff coming up about that very soon. And also shout out to our one mystery Spotify subscriber who we cannot figure out. And so if it's you, please send us a message so we can thank you personally and our Patreon, Mr. Bearded Mana. Thank you so much for being a good fan and being there and listening and being devoted. We appreciate all of you very, very much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Cannot wait for the next. My brain stopped. Oh, dude, my gosh, that was so awful.
That was a hard stop.
I crashed into a
just
wall.
Turned off.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to this episode. We will see you next week. Until next time, bye.